are you also still creating invoices manually? Then this video is definitely for you. So hello all, welcome back to Pabbly Connect, and in this video we are going to understand how to create QuickBooks Invoice on Tally Form Submission. So over here I'm running a edutech company and we gather the details of our potential clients with the help of Tally Forms. So now what I want is that as soon as a potential client shows the interest in any another particular course, automatically invoice for the same should be created in my QuickBooks account too. That too without any manual efforts. So to do this, we are going to create a connection between Tally Forms and QuickBooks. To create this connection without knowing any programming or coding language, we are going to use Pabbly Connect. It is an amazing automation software. So do you also want to create this automation for your business? Then for that you have to come with me towards my screen.
Welcome to my screen. So in this tutorial, I'll show you how to automate invoice creation by connecting Tally Forms with QuickBooks. Whenever someone submits a Tally form, an invoice will be automatically generated in your QuickBooks account. Something like this. This integration streamlines your invoicing process, eliminates manual effort, and ensures accurate records for every form submission. So let's get started and see how you can set this up seamless workflow. So to do this, I've simply opened the landing page of Pabbly by searching pabbly.com/connect in my browser. It is very easy, and as soon as we are going to open the landing page of Pabbly, we are going to get two options. One is sign in and the other one is sign up for free. So if you are a new user, you can click on this sign up for free and you are going to get 100 of stars free every month. But over here, I'm an existing user, so I'm just going to click on this sign in. And as soon as we are going to click on the sign in, it is opening all Pabbly apps. Over here, you can see all the tools and applications offered by Pabbly. But in today's video, we are going to use Pabbly Connect because we are connecting different applications, which is Tally and QuickBooks, alright. So I'm just going to click on this access now right over here to access my Pabbly Connect account. And as soon as we're going to do so, it is opening my dashboard. And to start with this automation, we have to click on this button which says Create Workflow. And now it is asking me for the workflow name and the folder I want to save the workflow in. So over here, I want to save the workflow in this folder which is automations, and I want to name my workflow as how to create QuickBooks invoice on Tally Forms submission, Tally Forms to QuickBooks, and then we are just going to click on this create. And as soon as we are going to click on this create, it is opening the most important window of our automation, which is our workflow window. So this is the most important window because we have trigger and action on this. So trigger and actions are the two main principles on which our workflow will work, alright. Trigger means when this happens and action means do this. So by this you can understand that the actions are response towards the commands given by our trigger, and that's the reason that we can have only a single trigger but multiple actions following the commands of our trigger in a particular workflow. Alright, so today what I want to create QuickBooks invoice on Tally Forms submission. So for my trigger application, I'm just going to select it as Tally Forms. So I'm just going to search for Tally and then we are going to select it. And now it is asking me for the trigger event. So basically trigger event is the event on which the workflow will start. So here what I want is that as soon as a new response is received, my workflow should be triggered or started. And as soon as we're going to select the trigger event, it is giving me the webhook URL. So over here we are going to use this same webhook URL in order to create a connection between our Tally account and our Pabbly Connect's workflow. So to do this, first I'm just going to copy this webhook URL and then we have to follow this help text. So it is saying log into your Tally account, publish your form and go to the integrations and then webhooks. Click on connect and add the webhook URL. Alright, we're going to follow the same. I'm just going to open my Tally account and over here you can see the forms which I have created. But I want to create this automation for this form which is course registration form. So I'm just going to go towards the edit of this form. Alright, as you can see that this is my form. So now what we have to do is we have to go towards the integration tab of this form. So I'm just going to go towards the integration tab and over here you can see webhooks. So we are just going to scroll and click on this connect given under webhooks. Alright, and now it is asking me for the endpoint URL. So over here we are going to paste the URL which we copied from our workflow, which was a webbook URL. So I've pasted it right over here, and then we just have to click on this connect. And as soon as we are going to click on this connect, yes, you can see that we have successfully connected our Tally account with our Pabbly Connect's workflow. You can see that we have successfully added this webbook URL, alright. But now you can see that it is saying waiting for a webbook response, and in the notes it is saying do a test submission / record. So in order to capture this webbook response, we have to do a test submission or record, alright. So to do this, what we have to do is I'm just going to open my Tally once again, and we're going to go towards the share option. Over here you can see the shareable link, so I'm just going to copy this and open this in a new tab, alright. So now after opening this, you can see that this is my form. So I'm just going to fill in this form as test user. So first name test, last name user. For the email, I'm going to keep it as testuser55@pabblytudes.com. And for the phone number, I want the phone number to be this. Over here you can see the city which I've entered, and now it is saying course interested in. So let's say that for the course interested in, I'm just going to select it as content writing and blogging, and then we just have to click on this submit. And as soon as we're going to click on this submit, yes, you can see your registration is completed. So yes, with this we have successfully completed this, and now what has happened is Tally has sent the details of our test submission to our workflow, and yes, you can see that Pabbly has captured the response. You can see the first name which we entered, the last name, the email, the phone, the city, and the course interested in which we entered, right? So yes, with this we have successfully completed our trigger step. And now what will happen is that as soon as a new response is received from my Tally forms, automatically this workflow is going to get triggered, and Pabbly is going to capture the response for the same. So further, what I want is I want to create QuickBooks Invoice on Tally form submission. But in order to create an invoice, we first have to create a customer in our QuickBooks account, right? So first, I'm just going to create a customer in my QuickBooks account. For that, I'm just going to search for QuickBooks right over here. And as you can see, QuickBooks Online, so we have to select it. And now for the action event, first we have to create a customer, right? So I'm just going to select create a customer and click on this connect. And now it is asking me to add a new connection or select an existing connection. So if you have already connected your QuickBooks Online account with your Pabbly Connect's workflow, you can click on this select existing connection and then save. But if you haven't, you have to follow me, click on add a new connection, and then we have to click on this blue button which says connect with QuickBooks Online. And as soon as we are going to click on this blue button right over here, we are going to wait for a few seconds. And yes, you can see that we have successfully connected our QuickBooks Online account with our Pabbly Connect's workflow. So yes, this was really easy because I've already logged in my QuickBooks account prior starting with the automation. So it is always advised to log in our applications before starting with the automation. It makes the procedure easy. Alright, we are going to move on forward. It is asking me for the display name. So it is saying enter the display name. Alright, so over here I want the name which I received in the response of my previous step. Over here you can see the name is test user. So I want this name to be the display name, alright. So I'm just going to enter the same name right over here. But we are not going to enter it manually or by copy pasting it, but instead we are going to map it. So you must be wondering what is mapping. So mapping is a method by Pabbly which means inserting the data from the previous step. And as you know, our previous step was the trigger step where we selected Tally as our trigger application. And over here we are going to map this detail from the response of a trigger application only. And as soon as we're going to map these details, automatically my details will turn dynamic and change with every new response received. Alright, so here we have to map the name. So I'm just going to look for name, and as you can see test user, so we're going to map it. I'm just going to map the first name, put a space, and then the last name. So now this field has turned dynamic, and this will change with every new response received. Alright, once again over here we have to map the first name. So I'm just going to map the first name, which is test. We are going to move on forward. You can see middle name is not required. I'm just going to map the last name. I'm just going to look for last name and map it. We're going to move on forward. You can see once again it is asking me for many another details. So we are only going to fill in the details which are required or which I wish to. Alright, so as you can see, I'm just going to enter the phone number. We are going to move on forward. Over here I'm just going to enter the email address given. As you can see, testuser55@pabblytudes.com. Now it is saying GST registration type, so I'm just going to keep it as regular only. We are going to move on forward. You can see that we are just going to ignore all of these details details because these are not the required details. Now we are just going to enter the currency. So over here I'm in India and I deal in Indian rupees only, so I'm just going to keep my currency as INR. You have to enter your currency code right over here, but first you have to keep in mind that the multi-currency option is enabled in your QuickBooks account. Alright, so after enabling this you have to enter your currency. We are going to move forward and we're only going to fill in the required details. Alright, so we have successfully filled in all the required details, and now what we're going to do is I'm just going to click on this save and send test request. And as soon as we're going to click on this save and send test request, yes, you can see that we have received a positive response that we have successfully created a customer in our QuickBooks online account. So I'm just going to open my QuickBooks account and we're going to look for the customer created. So here you can see the option of customers. So I'm just going to go towards the customers option given right over here. And yes, you can see that the new customer has been created. You can see the name, the phone right over here. I'm just going to show all the details. Over here you can see the name, which was test user. Over here you can see all the details of the customer. Alright, you can see the email which we entered. Over here you can see the phone number which we entered. So yes, with this we have successfully created a customer, and now I want to create a QuickBook invoice for this customer only. So for that, once again I'm just going to add another action step. Once again, for the action application we have to select it as QuickBooks. So I'm just going to search for it and then we are going to select it. But this time for the action event we have to select it as create a invoice. Alright, and then we're just going to click on this connect. So yes, we have recently connected our QuickBooks account, so I'm just going to click on this select existing connection and then save. Alright, and as soon as we're going to click on this save, it is asking me for the customer. So for which customer I want to create this invoice. So this customer is the previous customer which we created right over here. Alright, so I want to create this invoice for the same customer. So we can select that same customer right from here. But if we're going to select it right from here, then this will not change with every new response received because this would turn into a static information. But I want this to remain dynamic. So for that I'm just going to switch on this mapping button right from here, and we're going to map this customer ID from the response of our previous step, which is QuickBooks create a customer. Over here we're going to look for customer ID, and as you can see the customer ID, so we're going to map it. And as soon as we're going to map this customer ID, now this field has turned dynamic and this customer will change with every new response received. Once again we're going to map the rest of the details too. I'm just going to map the email. We are going to move on forward. Alright, over here once again we are only going to fill in the details which are required. Over here for the sales term I'm just going to select it as due on receipt. You can see deposit to accounts payable. We are going to move on forward right over here. Over here for the line item detail type I'm just going to select it as sales item detail. We're going to move on forward. It is asking me for the line item description. So over here I'm just going to enter the course name which we received. Over here you can see content writing and blogging, so we're going to map it. It is saying line item quantity. So over here one person can only purchase a single course, right? So I'm just going to keep it as static only, which is 1. Then we're going to move on forward. It is saying line item unit price. So as you can notice that we have the unit price in the description only, which is 999 rupees. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to extract this 999 rupees right from here, map it right over here in the line item unit price. So over here I'm just going to move on forward. I'm just going to go back and we're going to add another action step between this create a customer and create an invoice. Over here for the action application we have to select it as text formatter by Pabbly. So it is a feature by Pabbly which helps you to format the text. For the action event we have to select it as text parser and click on this connect. Over here we are going to enter the text obviously, which is the course name. So here what is happening, it is asking me for the which thing I want to extract. So over here I want to extract this 999 rupees, which is after this bracket open and before this bracket closure. So I'm just going to keep the after as bracket open, and then for the before I'm just going to keep it as bracket closer. And then we just have to click on this save and send test request. And as soon as we're going to do so, yes, you can see that we have successfully extracted this amount. Now we're going to map this same amount, or you can see the unit price right over here. All right, so I'm just going to scroll it right over here and map this unit price from the response of our text formatter by Pabbly, which is 999 rupees. Now it is saying line item, product or service. So here for me it is a product, so I'm just going to select it as sales. We're going to move on forward. It is saying line item tax code. So for that I'm just going to select it as none. We are going to move on forward. It is saying line item amount. So here what we have to do is enter the amount which must be equals to the quantity into price given above. All right, so as you can see the quantity of everything is 1 right over here because I've kept it as static. So the amount would be the same as the price. All right, so I'm just going to map this this amount as same as we map the price, which is 999 rupees. I'm just going to move on forward. Now it is asking me for many other details. So all of these details are not the required details. So I'm just going to leave it as blank and click on this save and send test request. And as soon as we are going to click on this save and send test request, yes, you can see that we have received a positive response that we have successfully created an invoice. So I'm just going to open my QuickBooks account and check for the new invoice created for test user. So I'm just going to open my QuickBooks account and we're going to go towards the invoice section right over here. And yes, you can see that a new invoice has been created for test user 2. So I'm just going to open this invoice and go towards this edit invoice to check for the full invoice. Alright, and over here you're going to see the full invoice which we have created. You can see the same name, you can see the same email ID. Over here we are going to move on forward. Yes, you can see the description, which is content writing and blogging, 999 rupees. You can see the rate and the amount too. Alright, over here you can see the subtotal, exchange rate and another details. So yes, with this we have successfully completed our workflow, and now what will happen is that as soon as a new response is received from my Tally forms, automatically Pabbly is going to create a customer and an invoice in my QuickBooks account, something like this, without any manual efforts. This workflow is going to run in backend and we can just sit back and relax. So yes, this was it for the video, and if you have any questions related to the video or the workflow, you can directly comment on this video. And for your reference, I'll just clone this workflow and share the workflow link in the description box so that you can access my workflow. I hope this video was helpful for you. Thank you for watching.
So not only these applications, but with the help of Pabbly Connect, you can integrate many more applications. So if you have any doubts, you can reach us at support@pabbly.com. If you have any queries, you can reach us at forum.pabbly.com. And if you have any pricing related issues, you can follow this website. And if you find our videos helpful, do like and subscribe our channel. Thank you for watching.